Thank you very much, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity to be with all of you today and for the invitation to provide the FDA perspective, at least insofar as the strategic plan is concerned. I also very much appreciated hearing the perspectives of my fellow panelists, so thank you very much for that. My goal is to give you a really quick bird's eye view of what the agency's strategic plan is for the development of therapies for pediatric rare diseases. Before I launch into that, just most folks know about our office. We are the Office of Orphan Products Development. We're within the Commissioner's Office, and our primary objective is to promote the development of products, which includes drugs, biologics, devices, and medical foods for rare diseases. Our office implements the incentive programs that apply for the development. So the drug designation program, the humanitarian use device designation program, grant programs, etc. We're outside of the review divisions. So our office, while we work closely with the review division, our office is not primarily responsible for the actual day-to-day review of marketing applications. Because we're outside of the review divisions, our office also oversees a number of cross-agency collaborations, and that's why we really sort of took the lead in working across the agency and putting together this report and strategic plan. This was the effort of a number of different offices and centers in putting this together. So I don't know if anyone can read this, but I understand the slides will be available. The report and strategic plan was required under Section 510 of FDASIA, and the bottom line of what this section required, it asked the agency to put together a public meeting to talk about ways to accelerate and encourage the development of therapies including drugs, biologics, devices for pediatric rare diseases, and asked the agency to put out a report detailing a strategic plan for how the agency intends to do that within 6 months of that meeting. So that meeting, which was just referenced earlier, happened in January. It was a 3-day public meeting from January 6th to the 14th. And we issued the report on time, 6 months right after the meeting was held. So just a quick word about the meeting. It was a large, well-attended meeting, and it spanned a number of different topics, which I've listed here below. I'm not going to talk in detail about the public meeting, but I have listed the links for those of you who are interested in additional information about the meeting and transcripts as well. But it was attended by a number of different stakeholders, where a lot of interesting perspectives were shared. And the idea was to take a lot of those perspectives that we heard and try to address as many of the concerns that we could from what we heard at the meeting in developing the strategic plan. Obviously, some of the concerns that were raised at the meeting were sort of outside of FDA's jurisdiction. For example, the cost of medication is an issue, reimbursement is an issue, and we recognize that those are concerns that are shared by a number of stakeholders, but obviously that's not within FDA's jurisdiction. So to the extent that we were able to address issues, we tried to do that in the strategic plan. This plan, for those of you who've looked at the report, it's a report as well as the plan. I've included the link for that report. It is a big document. I'm going to try to give you, again, just a bird's eye view of the plan. Again, it's not comprehensive in that it doesn't include every initiative that exists. We've done our best to try to cover the most important initiatives that were ongoing. That were ongoing and new. The other thing that is important to note is this strategic plan focuses on initiatives that are specific to pediatric medical product development, but also includes things that are going on in the agency that while not specific to pediatric medical product development, certainly will help and implicates pediatric medical product development. So with any strategic plan, there's a large goal with certain stated objectives and specific strategies. In terms of our goal for this plan was really the shared goal under FDASIA, which is how are we going to encourage and accelerate the development of drugs, biologics, and devices for pediatric rare diseases. And we split it up. We created a working group, a cross-agency working group, and we came up with 4 main objectives for how we wanted to try to achieve this goal. The first, and we heard a lot of discussion about this at the public meeting, this whole idea of foundational science, translational science, and the need for better foundational and translational science, the early information. The second is how to increase regulatory science to aid clinical trial design and performance. The third was about improving the FDA review process, and the fourth is about strengthening collaborations both within the agency, across agencies, and with other public and private partnerships. I'll just give you a couple of examples under each of the objectives. Again, I encourage all of you to take a look at the strategic plan if you haven't already done so. Just looking under how the agency wants to continue to enhance foundational and translational science. There was a lot of discussion about the need for natural history studies to better understand what is the natural course that a disease takes. For a lot of rare diseases, the natural course of a disease is still not well understood, so it becomes very challenging to develop appropriate endpoints or identify appropriate biomarkers. And so what is the agency doing to help facilitate the conduct of natural history studies? FDA obviously doesn't conduct natural history studies, and nor do we really review them, but they are critical in sort of drug development. So there's a critical path innovation meeting that exists within the agency where they can help provide advice, general advice and guidance on the conduct of natural history studies. This is a relatively new process that's available, and I encourage folks to sort of take advantage of the meetings that are available. This is through CEDAR. There's also some pilot projects that are occurring with NORD and FDA, particularly CEDAR has been very actively engaged in this pilot program. I understand I have about 2 minutes left, so I'm going to try to race through this. There's guidance development underway, and we're also on the device side looking at what are the actual device needs. There's a big question about what the needs are in the rare space, and particularly in the rare pediatric space. So we're trying to identify those needs. Increasing regulatory science to aid in clinical trial design and performance. Again, very quickly, there's a lot of guidance development that's in process that's specifically focused on pediatric drug development. Also trying to engage with the team in FDA that really works on clinical outcome assessments and endpoints to engage them early in the process. There's a development of an expedited pathway to get more devices out on the market for unmet need. In terms, and again, I'm not going to go through everything, but in terms of improving the FDA review process, the agency's really focused on how do we best get patient perspectives and incorporate those patient perspectives throughout the regulatory process, not just at the tail end, but throughout the entire review process. And there are a number of ongoing initiatives, but through additional processes, we're looking to get public input on how better we can do that and what other ways can we do that. Again, in the interest of time, I'm going to very quickly run through this. The incorporation of the patient perspective not only exists on the drug and biologic side, there have been a lot of efforts to try to incorporate patient perspective in device development as well. And lastly, in terms of strengthening communication, collaboration, and partnering, there are a number of collaborations that exist I've only listed a handful. The report we talk about many other, but the idea is to continue to work with our partners, develop new partnerships, because we recognize that no one entity has all the resources and the expertise necessary to address a lot of these issues. My apologies for how quickly I raced through all of this, but I would be happy to answer any questions folks have. I'll plan to stay afterwards and happy to chat. Our website, email address, and contact information is there for folks who have worked with our office. Know that we try to be as accessible as we can. So I do look forward to hearing from you, and thanks for the opportunity to speak.